Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning back into the Mummy Means Business podcast. We have another special guest. Her name is Joyce. Joyce is a mother of two, and she's also the founder of an online, or not online, but like an Instagram dessert shop where you can order sweet treats, especially like, you know, when it's late at night, you just want something really sweet. If you're around the South London area, make sure you check her out on Instagram. She provides amazing, delicious treats like brownies and cheesecakes, and she actually makes the best apple crumble that I've probably ever tasted. No shop can make it like that, so make sure you check her out. She has different recipes or different desserts that she has each week. So add her on Instagram so you can keep up to date. I've actually known Joyce for a long time. She's just a beautiful soul inside and out. Her daughter Kayla is so intelligent. That girl is so smart. She can definitely be the president of the US or the prime minister of the UK easily. I can see her in like politics or being the CEO or just being a boss, and it's just literally a reflection of the amazing mum that she has. And today we're actually going to talk about her journey in motherhood, specifically of her second child. And obviously as we go into the podcast, you'll hear the story, but just how she was able to kind of refocus on herself after, you know, a hard birth. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to have Joyce. We have many things to talk about, so make sure you keep listening to the end. But welcome, Joyce.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course. Hope you're not too nervous. It should be quite simple. I won't probe you or interrogate you. It's just kind of like a convo.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, thank you.
Of course. But before we kind of get into the topic, how has been your motherhood journey, especially, you know, the second time round? Was it much different to your first child? Like, what has been, you know, obviously I know you've shared a little bit on Instagram, but it'd be good to kind of share your experience with your motherhood and your birth with your second son, or with your son.
Yeah. So Joel, my prince, yeah, you know, it's been a journey. It's been so different actually from my first, because obviously Kayla, you know, first time having a daughter, it was like, you know, what do you expect? And then when you get pregnant with number two, you're like, right, I'm ready.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what I need to do. I know I'm ready. But lo and behold, it was a completely different story. So just trying to adjust to obviously his needs and what he requires, and his appointments, etc. So, you know, long story short, he was, you know, born prematurely on our holiday in Portugal, 2016. So he came very quickly, very unexpectedly. And yeah, we did nearly lose him. It was a very traumatic time for me. Just obviously not having any medical staff around, and just delivering him on my own was just like, wow. And you know, to fast forward till now, I do think how did I get through that? You know, it's his birthday on Sunday, and you know, I think, wow, 3 years have gone by, and
so quickly,
and just having to adjust to his needs has been challenging, but rewarding at the same time, because, you know, I had to realize that every child is different. You know, I'm not going to expect the same care or the same needs that I experienced with my first child. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No, definitely, because I actually, you know, remember that kind of period of time, and I also remember, you know, when you you and your family was stuck in Portugal. Obviously, you had to stay there for a few months because with your little one, and you had like a GoFundMe because you had to raise a certain amount. Because if you think about it logically, you go on a holiday, you have a certain amount of time that you're gonna be in that holiday. You have a certain amount of money that you're gonna take to that holiday, and then now you have all of this that's happened. You did not plan for it, you didn't budget for it. Now you have to pay hospital bills, you have to pay for stay, and it's not like you were there for extra few days or even extra few weeks. You were there for a few months. How was that mentally? Like, how did you get through that?
It all comes back to me. It was the most hardest thing I ever had to go through in my life. From the very minute when I was feeling my contractions, I just didn't want to believe it. I was very in denial. I was like, no, this can't be real. I was Google searching contractions at 29 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I was like, is this normal?
So did you know that it was contractions, or did you just thought, oh no, I must have like an upset stomach or something like that?
Yeah, I was like, oh, what did I eat?
Because it's true. Because 29 weeks, you're not even any pain you get, you're thinking, nah, baby's not coming.
Exactly. So I was like, no, this can't be real. So I was like, no, it must be Braxton Hicks. But I was just so in denial. I was like, no. I kept thinking, because this was day 3 of the holiday. No, day 2 of the holiday. And I was like, no, I'm going to get through this holiday. I'm going to get through this pain. That's all I kept thinking, was that just get on the plane back to London and see your midwife straight away. But it just wasn't going. The pain wasn't going. So I remember, going into the bathroom, and, the pain just got even worse and worse and intense. And my mind was just, oh no, this can't be right. I felt like it was a dream. And it was the point when I realized I was in the same position I was when giving birth to Caleb, and I was like, no, I'm in labor. That was the only time I realized, and I knew it was too late. So the ambulance got called, but they didn't come in time, so my contractions started to get worse, and within 5 minutes my waters broke and I felt the head coming. And
oh my gosh,
just imagine, this is still all in the hotel bathroom, and I was like, all I kept thinking was, I don't know what's going to happen to him. Is he going to have no legs, no arms? So my mind at that time was just like, my baby's dead. My baby's dead. I just was like, I'm pushing a dead baby out. And when he came, still at this time, no ambulance, no paramedics had arrived. I delivered him and took him in my arms, and I could see that he was struggling for life. His eyes were rolling back. He was really struggling to breathe, and I was like, oh my God, I started praying over him, and just trying to grasp what is going on. And then all of a sudden, we could hear the paramedics running down the corridor, and I was like, quick, take him. They didn't actually think the baby had come, but they took him away. And I was just at that point I was in so much torment that my baby was going to be taken away, but at the same time I was at ease that there was help. So my mind was in two different places at that point. It was like, it's okay, he's being helped, but at the same time, don't leave me. And then they sorted me out, got to the hospital, and he wasn't there. I just remember like it was yesterday. I was like, can I see my son? They were like, no, he's not here yet. And I said, what do you mean he's not here yet? He left before me, I want to see my son. And I was, again, another mental battle. I was like, where is my son? I'm in the middle of, Europe. Where is he? Obviously, I couldn't see my family. nothing. I was alone, completely alone in that hospital. And then another hour later, they said, "Oh, your son's arrived. Would you like to see him?" I said, "Of course."
1 hour. Oh my
One
gosh.
hour, 1 hour. They said to me, "You can see him now." I said, "Okay." And then I remember before I opened the door, I said, "Can you please tell me what took him so long to come?" They said, "We're sorry. Your son actually passed away on the way to the hospital." And I said, "What?" I said, and in my mind, again, I said to myself, "Thank you." I had every right to, you know, um, be angry or be, ungrateful, but I just was like, "Thank you." I didn't even care what happened at that time. I didn't actually care. I just was like, "Wow, you saved him." He's alive, and they said that he really struggled for life, so they had to exchange paramedics in the middle of the motorway,
Imagine.
just to gain life, because he was coming. Sorry, so it's basically the ambulance that was coming for me was a woman in labor, not a woman and a baby.
Oh, so they didn't have the right
They
tools to
didn't
kind
have
of.
the exactly. They didn't have the right tools. So when they realized that they don't know how to save him, they had to call another paramedics in the middle of the road, transfer him into another ambulance, and save his life. So apparently he was, dead for roughly about 21 seconds. But for me, that is crucial,
Mm.
you know. So yeah, they said they managed to keep him stable. So that's what took so long. And I remember, before he arrived, I was angry. I was like, "Where is he? How comes you don't know where he is?" And all of a sudden, that disappeared. All of a sudden, that didn't matter. That didn't matter. So we went to go and see him. Obviously, he looked lifeless. But I was happy, obviously, that he had life. And then he needed surgery. So they explained, they can't do the surgery where they are now, which is in Faro, but they have to transfer him to Lisbon, so which is like another 4-hour drive. So imagine from London to Manchester. So I said, "Okay, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go."
But you just gave birth.
I know. But do you know what? I didn't care. I would,
Did you even feel pain? Like, was your body in pain?
I didn't feel, like adrenaline. Like I
Yeah.
did not feel
Oh,
anything. I was just like, my son, my son, my son. My mind was just like,
it's true.
he. No pain mattered right about now,
Mm.
And even he came at 29 weeks, but I had stitches. He was a small baby, but I still tore, but
Imagine.
I know, but I just didn't care. I was just like, "Come on, let's go. Let's go. I'll be right by your side." And they said to me, "You can't go with him." And I said, "Why?" They said, "Because you've just had a home birth." And, you know, quote unquote home birth, hotel
Oh,
birth.
birth, bathroom birth.
Yeah. But I was like, "Oh man," I said, "Why?" I said, "Yeah, you just had this traumatic birth." And, I didn't really realize how much I had this traumatic birth. All my mind was focused was on him. And I had to say goodbye for a second time. And, that moment I cried over his incubator. I just couldn't believe he was going to have to leave me again. I just wanted to, sit by his bedside, hold his hand, do all the things that, a mother would do over their newborn
Yeah.
child. And I couldn't do that. I literally saw him for 5 minutes and he had to go. And, you know, um, that night, obviously, he was on his way to Lisbon. I was still in Faro, had to stay in the hospital. Then The next day, we made our way down to Lisbon. We can imagine through all of this, we had Kayla with us. She was turning 5 at the time. And yeah, we made our way. He had his surgery successfully. And then, yeah, so everything was a success. So again, I was like, yes, any mother would ask the doctor that very crucial question: when can we go home?
Yeah.
you know, okay, yes, he's had his surgery. Yes, he's alive. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to go home. I don't care. I don't care about anything, right? I don't care about the
Yeah.
holiday. I don't care about booking another plane. I just
Let's
want to
just
go
go
home.
home.
Yeah, I haven't got anything for him. I don't have a buggy. I don't have anything. I just want to go home. And they said, obviously, we understand you do, but he's still in intensive care. He needs attention. So we were hoping that we would be able to get on our return flight home, but obviously not. That 1 week turned into 3 months. Of just hoping he would make it through. So Joelle went through from one surgery to contracting whooping cough. So when you're pregnant,
You get the whooping cough
the whooping cough
vaccination. Yeah.
vaccination, exactly. And I was meant to have mine when I returned back
Um,
from holiday.
but obviously because you gave, because you get it like at 30 something weeks, really, don't you?
Exactly. So I was 29, and I'm still fit to fly, but
Yeah.
just hoping, okay, I have that vaccine when I come back. But he got really sick. He had that vaccination. I mean, sorry, he had that sickness. And if you don't know much about whooping cough sickness, it tightens the airways and it stops children from breathing. So as you can imagine what my son has already gone through,
Yeah.
to see him suffer, when I mean, his chest, his lungs is really going in his rib cages every day, seeing him on the breathing machine, not being just hoping for a change or progress was so hard. He had that sickness for about 3 weeks. We had to wear masks. We had to really cover ourselves from him.
So you don't get it yourself.
Yes, yes. So we don't get it, or we don't pass anything extra
Yeah,
over to
to him.
him. So yeah, he was really sick. Yeah, and then through that sickness, he still needed 4 blood transfusions. He also had to have another surgery while he was out there. But through all of that, to see him come out on the other side and to eventually start taking one tube off one day at a time, start seeing him growing in his weight, start seeing him eventually taking the bottle, that progression was was it only started with my mind. I had to start seeing it before it happened.
Mm.
And through all of that, I could honestly say that was the hardest part of his journey for me. Not so much the giving birth. The giving birth, yes, was traumatic, but it was seeing the future before it had happened. It was
Yeah.
seeing us going home. No, we are going home.
The
No, we're not.
faith.
Yes, it's the faith. No, I'm not gonna live in Portugal as much as I would love to. you know,
That's not my home.
no, it's not my home. Yes, he will get better. My mind, you can imagine the doctors telling me, your son's not going to make it. Your son, needs this type of blood. You can imagine, find it, find it, find this blood, give it to him, and they're telling me all these things. I remember, I'll give you one example. There was one random day, the alarms went off all over him, and there was about 10 doctors and nurses rushed over to his incubator. And I was like, please tell me what's going on, please. And you forget they don't speak English. And I mean, all I could do was just pray. That's all I could really do. And just really just hope to God that whatever they're doing, you know, that He's covered. And, you know, trust, you know, like when you get on a plane, you have to just trust the pilot. You don't know where you're
Yeah.
going, but you have to just honestly just trust where you're going. And that's exactly what I had to do. There was only one doctor that spoke English, and she wasn't there all the time to translate to me. So it was so difficult to just be patient and just, I don't know what's going on, but I know one day we will leave this place. And we did, and we did.
That's
We
amazing.
Yeah, we did. We went through a lot. Obviously, you know, you can imagine moving from hotels to apartments to eventually, God bless the Ronald McDonald houses. But yeah, they are a charity. So if you're not aware, Ronald McDonald House is a charity for mothers who have their children in hospital for a long period of time. So they're houses that accommodate free accommodation for mothers. So please, you know, if you're
Oh,
not aware,
wow.
please give money towards them. You know, we still give money towards them. We did a Joel's home welcoming party. We gave money to thank them again, because it's free room, your own area of kitchen. You can have visitors that come and see you, just simply because you're in a situation that you didn't ask for, you know, and it's free. So there's one in Lisbon. There's loads in London, if you're not aware, but there was one in Lisbon that we stayed in eventually towards the end of his stay. And even when he was discharged, we stayed there with him until we got our return flight home. So we spent Christmas there. It was just beautiful. It was just beautiful to meet other mothers and talk to other mothers that were going through the same thing, you know. And, you know, I met this amazing woman who was also a Christian, and we just prayed, you know, you know, each night, you know. And that's what I mean. I wouldn't have traded this experience for anything in this
Yeah.
world. You know, nothing. You know, it's made me so much more stronger. It has made me definitely
Like a warrior. You're a warrior. Nothing can phase you. If as a mum you've gone through this, as a mum especially, like I can never ever understand what you went through. Even as you were speaking, like my eyes were welling up because I was thinking like I don't know what I would have gone through if that happened to I can't even speak it. You know what I mean? I can't even say, because you can never ever I can never even like understand what you went through. But for the fact that you say that it was the best, even though it was the worst thing, but it also was the best thing that happened to you, because it builds character really, and it's made you into this woman now.
yeah, it really did. And my mind had to shift.
Yeah.
You know, I had no choice. So, you know, when you're in a position where, you know, I didn't have any choice. You know, I I had an encounter with God. You know, that was, for me, that was God showing me who He was. You know, I've never experienced losing a child. You know, and I do honestly, my heart goes out to those mothers that I have. You know, miscarriages and stillbirths, and you know, my heart does go out. And you know, I can't say my experience was the same, but it was very close to it. And I honestly, I don't even know how to explain that feeling. You know, it's your own flesh and blood that is literally on the line, and you do anything just to see them alive. And I honestly, yeah, wouldn't trade that experience for anything. You know, yeah.
Isn't it amazing now that like you're celebrating his third birthday? Like Joel's so He's such a, even when I see him, like when you post the pictures and videos on social, he's such a happy, he's always smiling, always like grinning teeth. He's just such a happy baby. Like he's just, full of joy, full of life. And it's like what you said, you saw that even when he was in the incubator, you had the faith and you envisioned that life for him, and that's the life that he had, and you really had to hold on to that to get you through. But in now that 3 years on, you have your business, and now obviously he's a big boy now, he's independent, walking, talking, everything now. Was it in the beginning, was it hard, or did you feel any guilt to kind of go back to work, or start focusing or start doing things for yourself, or even when you wanted to do this, have this little hustle on the side and do this, like was it did you feel guilty in doing so, or were you kind of fine to do that?
100% yes. I felt so guilty. It was kind of like I missed a chunk of his life. Even though we were there in Portugal, I couldn't hold him every night. I couldn't even stay there. So I had to go back to the house or wherever I was living. I couldn't sleep there. It's just not like London. So be grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't stay. I have to go home, come back in the morning. So I feel like I missed out on so much of him. There was the nurse feeding him in the night when I wanted to feed him. So when we got back, I wanted every moment back. I wanted those cuddles. I wasn't sure if he knew I was his mother. All those things were in my mind. And then, that time came when it was time to go back to work. And I was very much like, oh no, do I have to? Because his appointments have calmed down a lot, but he as you can imagine, premature babies need checking up a lot from head to toe. So there was lots of running around for him. So the guilt was there. The guilt was so much there. It was like, is he gonna be okay? Is people gonna know his needs, his dislikes, his likes? And again, I think I had another revelation because no, honestly, Victoria, I was like, Joyce, this boy has survived.
It's true. For how long?
For how long? He had to leave you on his day of birth.
Oh,
He had to leave. No, he had to leave me twice on his day of birth. And how many times have I had to, no choice of my own, leave him?
he's strong.
Yeah. And then I realized he's absolutely fine. I had to really just, change it. I know I'm his mother, and he knew I was his mother.
Yeah.
So he was absolutely, when it came to leaving him, there was no problem at all. He was happy to go. He was
saying
happy.
bye, Mum.
Yeah, bye, mummy, bye. And I think, it eased off. That guilt eased off eventually. And then starting the business was kind of like icing on the cake, because I knew I'd be at home with him. So I usually bake in the evenings or weekends, and that's nice because at least I know that I still got my eyes on them, and he's around me. But he's definitely at that age now where there's less worrying, less concerns about him, and which I'm really happy about. Really, really happy.
But like you've always been known as the star baker. Like I don't know if anyone has tasted Joyce's apple crumble, but when you taste it, Joyce, like when you taste it, that okay, yeah, Joyce made it. I remember every time we'll go like to anyone's house and people were cooking and you were coming, people always ask for two things: did you make your mac and cheese, or did you make your apple crumble? So, what made you want to actually do something with it and actually monetize on it and try to earn some cash, and rather than just doing it for as a hobby?
Yeah, so it was mainly my main reasons, if I'm being totally honest with you, my main reasons were I needed something to fulfill me. I needed something, most of my life I gave it to my marriage or my children or my home, and nothing for me. And with the hundreds of transformations that I've gone through in the last year, I really did need to find something for me. um you know and baking just popped into my head, and it was like, wow, this is therapy. I think it mainly stemmed from, I had a friend that asked me to bake an apple crumble or something like that, and I felt really good. I felt like, I could put some music on, bake,
Yeah.
and be happy.
That tastes the best. Like, when someone cooks something with a smile, they're happy. It's just got the best taste.
Exactly. And I've had this baking business in my mind for a very long time. And I just felt, no, 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 not this time. Now's not the time. I've got this, I've got that, I've got work, now's not the time. I thought, stop making excuses. Just give it a go. And if it doesn't go the way planned, then it doesn't. If it does, it does. And at the moment, I'm happy with the pace that it's going at. I just bake when I can. It's very ad hoc. I haven't really got any like I'm baking 3 days a week. It's just mainly when I can. So, which I'm really happy about, because it balances out my life, even as a single mother. So yeah, it really does balance everything out.
But then do you still feel like, you need to make sure you find time to just like have your own me time away from your children, away from work, away from business? Away from business. Like, do you feel like you need to dedicate that time? And how do you actually find that time? Because obviously you have 2 kids now, and you have this side hustle, and you're working a job.
Yeah. And I had to realize that, I think it was, when I started the business, I said to myself, yes, I'm going to have to find a day for myself. And I did. So I'm currently working 3 days, I should say, 3 days a week. 1 day in the week is reserved for Joel's appointments, if you can imagine.
Oh, yeah, so you put everything on one day. Yeah.
1 day. So, like, if there's an appointment that comes up, just say, yeah, book it for a Tuesday, because I know I have that off. But they're slowly calming down, which I thank God. And then the Friday that I have off is for me, Friday mornings, which I love. I drop the kids off. I'm not at work. I drop them off, and I go for a run. I do whatever I want to do.
Yeah,
And it
just
feels,
chill.
chill. If I want to, if I want to clean the house, if I want to do, I will do that. But what's nice is that I have an option.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important as mothers to really find time for you. You can't, there was this quote that I read is, I'm not sure if I've got it the right way around, but you can't care for others until you care for yourself, and if you can't care for yourself, it's very difficult to care for your home. Care for your children. You're always going to feel drained, and not, you can't really give yourself 100% to them. So it's so important. Find, I don't have a whole day, I have a half a day, but find at least half a day, even if it's 2 hours in the week, where you can say, there's no kids around, there's no man around, let me just
Chill.
chill if I need to, or go get a massage, go and do your nails, even if it is just to the library, or whatever you can do where you don't have anybody around you. So yeah, definitely encourage that. I definitely do.
Yeah, because you know what, you're right, because even that's good for your mental health, especially like I remember when I was pregnant, my mum kept saying this to me. She was like, when you give birth, I know it's going to be hard, but when you wake up in the morning, before you cater to your son, make sure you go and have a bath. you brush your teeth, and you have breakfast. And she used to say it like not in a way like, oh, you're gonna stink or whatever, but she's just saying it that you need to make sure you put yourself first, even though you have your child and your child's needs are gonna be priority over yours. Just take a little time in the morning or a little time of your day to do something for you, because if you don't do that, then you're going to get lost in everything else that you have to do, and before you know it, it's the end of the day and you haven't actually brushed your teeth, you haven't bathed. And I actually noticed that as my son started to get older, and my husband and I could help with the with the taking care of him, that I stopped prioritizing myself and I started prioritizing other things. Like, even if he was already being taken care of, my mum was here looking after him, rather than me taking time out to take a nap or do something for myself, I'll keep occupied by going and doing something else. And then I had to sit down and actually say, okay, Victoria, you actually need to prioritize some time for yourself, because it's like the end of the day, I haven't bathed, I'm barely eating, and it's like Xavier's 7 months, so he's not really a newborn anymore. I don't actually need, like, he doesn't take up all of my time anymore. I can literally leave him and let him play, and I can go and do stuff for myself. Even like sometimes I just sit in the toilet, I just take my phone, I lock, because that's the only door in my house that locks. I lock the door and I sit, and then sometimes like Daniel's like, are you all right? I'm like, I'm fine. Just watching my shows. And that is just the best hour of my day. So yeah, you're right. It's definitely very, very important to make time for yourself. And actually, it's good for your mental health.
Yeah, it really is.
But then do you feel like this is kind of your passion that you're pursuing? Or do you just feel like, it's just something to have on the side just to keep you busy, and you're just kind of going with the flow?
I would say, that's a good question. At the moment, going with the flow, is something that is a hobby. Not really to, if it does blow and it does, eventually get a shop, and then hey, we'll run with it. But at this point in time, yeah, I'm just happy where it is, to be honest. If people need it, it's not something. So it's not a finance that I rely on. It's not a finance that it's really just a blessing.
Yeah, but yeah, no, you've been. I love your story. I know it's been 3 years, but it's so inspirational, and I just love just seeing and watching your children just grow. And like, I can't believe Kayla's that. I'm literally still shocked at how big she is. Like sometimes when you see someone in person, that's your last memory of them, and then you don't realize how much time has flown by until you see them again. You're like, children make you realize how quick time goes. But it's just been really great having you on the podcast. And I just have one more question for you before you go. If you have any advice for any mum who is currently in the situation that you were in with Joelle, or that is nervous about that, or just any mum who's wanting to find time for themselves but don't know how to do it or feel guilty, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so first part of your question, in terms of nervous, and so say for to those mothers that are pregnant, I wouldn't personally, it's down to you, but I wouldn't personally go on holiday again being pregnant, if I'm being totally honest. I wouldn't, but again, if you want to go to Dubai and you're 7 months pregnant, enjoy, but make sure you just carry everything with you, your maternity book, your buggy, take whatever you can, but just bear in mind, I was quite fortunate that I was still within the EU, with all this stuff going on. I was still within the EU, so the NHS was happy to send over the hospital payments. We didn't have to pay any hospital fees. But if you are obviously outside of the EU, and obviously when this Brexit happens, you will have to pay. So just put that into, I don't wish my story upon anyone, but it's always safe to be home, if you're towards the end of your pregnancy. And And mothers, yeah, if you've got your heart set on a business, run with it. Just go. Just give it a try. I was very, very nervous about starting it, but you know, you never know until you try. You may think you may not have enough support network, but you'd be surprised. I had so many people, repost it and, share it. So you'd be really surprised. So just if you've got something on your heart, that I would say run with it, go with it, see what happens. There's nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Yeah. And to the last part of your question about, what was the last part of your question?
No, like it's just mums who maybe feel guilty about wanting to take time out for themselves.
So I would 100% encourage you to try and find some time for yourself. Again, I'm quite fortunate, being a single mother and having a morning to myself. That's a good 5 hours, but if you can find an hour, that's good. That's really good. Just try your best to find something, read a book, or get yourself into something that you really like doing, because our mental health is so important. You might find yourself being snappy with your children or being snappy with your husband, and if you probably assess your week, it's probably down to the fact that you haven't had time for you, and you're finding something to blame. So really try and take that focus off them and on yourself. And yeah, I'll definitely encourage it. Definitely encourage it. Definitely encourage it.
Thank you so much. You've been absolutely great, and thank you so much for everyone for listening to this podcast. Make sure you check out Joyce on Instagram, J's after mains. So it's JS after mains with an S at the end. If you're in the South London area, you can definitely order. If you just send her a DM, you can order and pick up and pick up some of her delicious treats. I'm telling you, once you taste just one bite of anything that she makes, you'll be hooked. Before you know it, it'll blow up. You'll be like, oh no, everyone's coming to me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, of course, it's been so much fun, and it's been really good just hearing it from your mouth rather than reading it, if that makes sense. Obviously I've read your story, but hearing it from you, it's just been amazing. But yeah, if you have any questions, make sure you find me on Instagram, victoria.dele, and keep an eye on my all the music listening apps, so Podbean, SoundCloud, Spotify, sorry, and Apple Podcasts. Will be releasing an episode every week, so make sure you subscribe so that you're up to date. And that's it. Thank you so much. Bye.